in our eighth lecture. In the previous lecture, we finished already seeing the details of our interesting play, A Doll's House, and we see how the play ended with the decision of Nora to leave her husband, and of course she has her own reasons for leaving him. Inshallah, we will come back to explain more about the text itself, and in these lectures, starting from lecture number 10, 11, and 12, or 11, 12, and 13, we are going to explain the text, inshallah, more thoroughly, inshallah. But in this lecture, actually, there are some points that we need to explain about the play, just to clarify some points which might be not clear enough to you. For example, like this point, definitely you know that during our explanation to the play, you know that Helmer was insisting on dismissing Krogstad out of the bank, and you might ask yourself why. Why is he insisting on dismissing him out of the bank? So now the similar points like this will be clarified and will be explained more in this lecture and in the coming lectures. So let's start with this first point that we have, which is about Helmer's reasons for wanting to dismiss Krogstad. Why? Why does Helmer want to dismiss Krogstad out of the bank? Now, you need to know that Helmer and Krogstad had been great friends during their boyhood. So you know now that when they were boys, they were close and intimate friends. But now Helmer holds Krogstad in contempt. Helmer now does not want him to be a friend anymore, and even he does not like him. Why? In the first place, the first reason, Krogstad had spoiled his reputation. That Krogstad is a man of misreputation. He is a man who does not have a good reputation by an act of dishonesty for which he could have been persecuted if the matter had gone to the court. This act of dishonesty in Krogstad's part was an act of forgery similar to that of Nora. So we know now that Krogstad also committed an act similar to the one that Nora did, which is the act of forgery or the crime of forgery. But the difference between the two, you need to know, and you need to note that Nora did this crime, the crime of forgery, without knowing that this is a crime. She does not know that what she's doing is a crime. But Krogstad knows, and he did deliberately, and this is the difference between the two. But while Nora had forged a signature without realizing that, she did not realize, as we said, that it was something illegal and punishable with imprisonment. Krogstad had committed an act of forgery, knowing fully well what he was doing. Helmer had come to know of Krogstad's act of dishonesty and had therefore formed a low opinion about his friend of all days. Okay, for this reason, because of this bad reputation which which Krogstad has, Helmer has decided to dismiss Krogstad from his post in the bank, and now when Nora recommends Mrs. Lindy for a job, Helmer makes up his mind to appoint Mrs. Lindy to the post which would be vacated by Krogstad. But Helmer has a second reason also to get rid of Krogstad. There is another reason. What is this second reason which Helmer has to dismiss Krogstad? Krogstad always speaks to Helmer in a familiar manner, addressing him by his Christian name and behaving as if the friendship of their days of boyhood still exists between them. And this is another reason. So once he is in the bank in front of the other employees, he is speaking to Helmer as if they were intimate and close friends. And of course, this would make the others think that those two people are close friends. And because Krogstad has a bad reputation, this means that Helmer also is having also a bad reputation. Why? Because you know that proverb, birds of a feather flock together, or a tree is known by all its fruits. A tree is known by its fruits, which means, or a man is known by his companions. So when you see someone is having good friends, you would say that this person is someone who is good. And if the friends are not good, it means that this person also is not good. So he does not want to be connected with Krogstad. He does not want the people to think that they are close friends, because this means that he is having the same morals and he is having the same reputation like Krogstad, and he agrees on what Krogstad is doing. So that's why Helmer wants to put an end to all this. He does not accept to be called by Krogstad in this familiar manner, and he does not want the other employees in the bank to think that Helmer also has a bad reputation, the same as Krogstad. So these two reasons made Helmer insistent and determined to dismiss Krogstad. Helmer does not want that a man in a subordinate position, and especially a man who had been guilty of criminal act, should behave as if they were Helmer's equal. And this is, of course, the main reason. Of course, as has already been pointed out above, Helmer is totally unaware of two very important facts which are relevant to the present situation. He does not know that his wife had borrowed money from Krogstad. This is something that he does not know, as we mentioned before. And he does not know that his wife had forged a signature on the bond which she had executed at the time. She had borrowed money, remember, from Krogstad, and this is very important. Why? In order to take her husband to where? To Italy, to save his life from the dangerous illness from which he has suffering at that time. So he did not know anything about the loan, he did not know anything about the forgery, and he did not know that this money was borrowed just for his own sake, to save him to travel to Italy in order to get better. Now we have another point here that we need also to focus on. We have here the themes. We have something about the themes, the motives, and the symbols that are being used in this play. The themes, the themes are fundamental, often universal ideas explored in a literary work. The first theme that we have here, the sacrificial role of women, that women are always sacrificing themselves for the sake of others. In A Doll's House, Ibsen paints a bleak picture of the sacrificial rule held by women of all economic classes. So which means that this sacrifice is not limited to one class, high class or middle class or low class. But he is saying, Ibsen is trying to show us that this sacrifice can be in any class in the society. So held by women of all economic classes in his society. In general, the play's female characters exemplify Nora's assertion spoken to Traveled in Act 3, that even though men refuse to sacrifice their integrity, hundreds of thousands of women of course have. In order to support her mother and two brothers, Mrs. Lindy found it necessary to abandon Krogstad. Her true, and this is for the Mrs. Lindy, in order to, of course you know her story, in order to support her mother and two brothers, Mrs. Lindy found it necessary to abandon Krogstad. She found it necessary to leave Krogstad her true but endless love and marry a richer man, the nanny had to abandon her only child to support herself by working as Noura's and then as Noura's children caretaker. As she tells Noura, the nanny considers herself lucky to have found the job, since she was a poor girl who would be led astray. Also, though Noura is economically advantaged in comparison to the play's other female characters, she nevertheless also leads a difficult life because society dictates that Torvald be the marriage's dominant partner. Torvald issues decrees and conditions to Noura, and Noura must hide her loan from him because she knows Torvald could never accept the idea that his wife, of course, Torvald is Helmer, so sometimes you have him under the name of Torvald, or sometimes you have him under the name of Helmer. So his name is Torvald Helmer, so like Abdulaziz Muhammad or whatever. So sometimes they call him Helmer in the play, and sometimes we call him Torvald. Okay, please pay attention to this. Torvald could never accept the idea that his wife or any other woman had helped save his life. Furthermore, she must work in secret to pay off her loan because it is illegal for a woman to obtain a loan without her husband's permission. By motivating Noura's deception, the attitudes of Torvald and society leave Noura vulnerable to Krogstad's blackmail. Noura's abandonment of her children can also be interpreted as an act of self-sacrifice, despite Noura's great love for her children, manifested by her interaction with them and her great fear of corrupting them. She chooses to leave them. Noura truly believes that the nanny will be a better mother and that leaving her children is in their best interest. The unreliability of appearance over the course of a doll's house appearance. Now you cannot rely on, this is what's the meaning of unreliability of appearance, which means that we should not rely on, depend on appearance from the first impression, because appearance might be deceiving to us. So once you see someone, his appearance, you should not make your judgment only on appearance. You have to speak, you have to see, you have to know him more and longer, right? So this is the idea. Over the course of a doll's house, appearance proved to be misleading. You know, appearance might be misleading, might not tell you the truth about someone, and this happens in a doll's house. So appearance proved to be misleading veneers that mask the reality of the play's character and situations. How our first impressions of Noura, Torvald and Krogstad are all eventually undercut. Noura's initially seems as silly, and this is the first impression that we got about Noura, that she seems a silly, childish woman. But as the play progresses, as the play goes on, we see that she is intelligent, motivated, and by the play's conclusion, a strong, well-independent thinker, right? So this is the change that happens in the character. So when we first have impression about Noura, she was like a silly and unmotivated woman. But at the end of the play, we of course have another idea about that character. Also Torvald, though he plays the part of the strong, benevolent husband, at the beginning of the play we find Helmer is like a loving husband, calling his wife my squirrel and my lark, singing lark, a twittering lark. So now this appearance, the first impression about Helmer as a loving husband, as someone who is spoiling his wife so close to her, of course this attitude, and this impression, of course, has changed completely at the end of the play. So Torvald, though he plays the part of the strong, benevolent husband, reveals himself to be cowardly, petty, and selfish when he fears that Krogstad may expose him to a scandal. When he knows that he will be scandalized, of course, all this of course vanished and disappeared. Krogstad too reveals himself to be a much more sympathetic and merciful character than he first appears to be. So all our impression about Krogstad, that he is someone who is a mean person, someone who is threatening Nora all the time, trying to blackmail her, to convince her husband to keep him in the bank and in the position of the bank, and also even to be promoted. All this at the end we reveal to be himself to be at the end that a much more sympathetic and merciful character, because we know that in his second letter he, as we mentioned in the previous lecture, that he told them that he is not going, he is sorry for doing this, and he is not going to threaten them or to blackmail them any more. So Krogstad too reveals himself to be a much more sympathetic and merciful character than the first appears to be. The play's climax is largely a matter of resolving identity confusion. We see Krogstad as an earnest lover, Nora as an intelligent, brave woman, and Torvald as a simpering, sad man. Situations too are misinterpreted both by us and by the characters. The seeming hatred between Mrs. Lindy and Krogstad turns out to be love. Nora's creditor turns to be Krogstad, and not, as we and Mrs. Lindy suppose, Dr. Rank. And Dr. Rank to Nora, and our surprise, confesses that he is in love with her. Okay, now the seemingly villainous Krogstad repents, and we know that he repents, and returns Nora's contract to her, while the seemingly kind-hearted Mrs. Lindy ceases to help Nora and forces Torvald's discovery of Nora's secret. And why she is doing this? Why that change of the attitude of her friend Mrs. Lindy? And why she wants her husband to know about the matter? Because she wants her husband to see the value of his wife. She wants her husband, she wants Helmer to see to what extent this woman helped him, to what extent Nora helped him to be saved and not to die. To what extent this woman is, to what extent Nora is sacrificing herself for the sake of her husband and for the sake of her children. So that's why she does not want all this effort of Nora to be wasted, all this sacrifice to be useless, right? So this is why she insists on letting Helmer to know what happened to Nora. Now, the instability of appearances within the Helmer's household at the play's end results from Torvald's devotion to an image at the expense of the creation of true happiness, because Torvald craves respect from his employees, friends, and wife. Status and image are important to him. Any disrespect when Nora calls him pretty and when Krogstad calls him by his first name, for example, angers Torvald greatly. By the end of the play, we see that Torvald's obsession with controlling his home's appearance and his repeated suppression and denial of reality have harmed his family and, of course, his happiness irreparably. Okay? Irreparably. Now, concerning the motives that we have here. Motives are recurring structures, contrasts, or literary devices that can help to develop and inform the text's major themes. Nora's definition of freedom. She is defining freedom. Nora's understanding of the meaning of freedom evolves over the course of the play. In the first act, she believes that she will be totally free as soon as she has repaid for her debt, because she will have the opportunity to devote herself to her domestic responsibilities. And we have here, after Krogstad blackmails her, however, she reconsiders her conceptions of freedom and questions whether she is happy in Torvald's house, subjected to his orders and edicts. By the end of the play, Nora seeks a new kind of freedom. She wishes to be relieved of her familial obligations in order to pursue her own ambitions, beliefs, and identity. Concerning the letters in this play, we have here many of the plots, twists and turns depend upon the writing and reading of letters, which functions within the play as the subtext that reveals the true unpleasant nature of situations, obscured by Torvald and Nora's efforts at beautification. Krogstad writes two letters. The first reveals Nora's crime of forgery to Torvald. The second retracts his blackmail threat and returns Nora's promissory note. The first letter, which Krogstad places on Torvald's letter near the end of Act 2, represents the truth about Nora's past and initiates the inevitable dissolutions of her marriage. As Nora says immediately after Krogstad leaves it, "We are lost." Nora's attempts to stall Torvald from reading the letter represents her continued denial of the true nature of her marriage. And the second letter releases Nora's from her obligations to Krogstad and represents her release from her obligations to Torvald. Upon reading it, Torvald attempts to return to his and Nora's previous denial of reality, but Nora recognizes that the letter have done more than expose her actions to Torvald. They have exposed the truth about Torvald's selfishness, and she can no longer participate in the illusion of a happy marriage. The last sentence is very nice, that she can no longer participate in the illusion. The word illusion means that not real, something that you imagine, the imagination of a happy marriage. She does not want to act, to pretend that she is living happily in her marriage, like many of the husbands and many of the wives who are pretending that they are happy in their marriages while they are not. So Nora refuses this. She refuses to pretend that she is happy. If she is happy, she is going to continue. If she is not happy, she is not going to continue, and she has to put an end to that marriage. Now, concerning the last point that we have here, we have, this is the model question that we have here. Nora initially means at the beginning. Nora initially means at the beginning, seems a silly, childish woman. At the very beginning of the play, we see Nora childish, bringing some presents to her family, and a silly, believing in all what her husband is telling her. Childish, we see here trying to eat some sweets and trying to hide it, and we see her husband is advising her not to eat these sweets because this will spoil her teeth. So she's behaving like an innocent child. So this is at the very beginning, and this is the first impression, as we said, the first appearance that we have got about Nora. So Nora initially, at the beginning, seems a silly, childish woman. Stupid, silly, of course you know the meaning of the word silly, that she is stupid. And why stupid? Because she could not see the face of her husband all these years, and she believed in every word he is saying to her. So again, Nora at the beginning of the play or initially seems a silly child woman, but as the play progresses, as the play goes on, we see that she is what? Have we seen Noura the same from the very beginning till the end? Have we noticed any kind of development in her personality, in her character, or not? This is what you need to notice while reading the play. Is it the same character from the very beginning till the end? Is it a flat character or a round character? Is it changing throughout the course of the action, or Noura does not have any change? Of course, Noura has a greater change and a bigger change from the very beginning till the end. You feel that we have another completely different character at the end of the play. You feel that this is not the same character that we have met at the very beginning of the play. Someone who is able to take decisions, someone who is able to leave her husband, someone who is able even to leave her children, someone who is looking for her own self now, someone who is looking and trying to discover her own identity, as we said, and to discover her own potentialities and her own individuality and her own personality, right? So you have here in front of you 4 choices. Now Noura initially seems a silly, childish woman, but as the play progresses, we see that she is what? She is stupid and careless at the end. Number 2, or B, intelligent and motivated. Letter C, unintelligent and mindless. D, slow-witted and unmotivated. Of course, the correct answer, as you can see, is B. Now we see Noura at the end of the play as someone who is intelligent and someone who is motivated. Why intelligent? Because she could discover the true reality about her husband. She does not blind her eyes and blind her feelings. She does not try to, like many other people, to go with the others, to let things go like as they are going without taking a decision. And in some situations in your life, you have to take strong decisions. Do not let things to go like this. Do not let yourself to be like the others. No, you need to be decisive. You need to be determined. You need to be strong in taking your decisions when it is something needed. When the situation needs some decisions, you have to take a decision, and do not make things go like this without any strong decision that you have. So we find here that she intelligent because she discovered the reality of her husband. She could see his true face, and at the same time she is motivated. Why motivated? Because she decides to do something for her life, because she wants to discover her true personality and to discover her new potentialities and her true individuality. So that's why the correct choice here is B, which is intelligent and motivated. Again, these types of questions are similar to these questions that you are going to have, inshallah, in the final. So if you see that I'm taking the same lines, the same sentences, and just putting some questions on them. So please try to read the materials that you have carefully, and inshallah you will find your questions, all your questions in the final, quite easy. Now let me tell you something. Now just 2 or 3 days ago, they gave us our new chip, I mean the new phone number, mobile phone number. So, and it is there on the website. You can get it, and my office hours are on Saturday and Sunday, starting from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in the evening. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to receive your questions. If you have any inquiries, I'll be happy to help at any time. All the best to you. This is the end of my 8th lecture. Inshallah, hope inshallah to meet in the coming lectures. All the best to all of you. Study hard, not only in my course but also in all the other courses. All the best to you. Thank you very much, and happy Eid to all of you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.